What's up, guys? Chris here. I'm doing yet another in the seemingly endless gauntlet of coach interviews. There are just too many coaches in this league, and it's a really good thing that we've implemented Highlander rules for this season. And as you are eliminated from playoff contention, you may or may not be killed. That being said, no pressure. Joining me is Danza, Crobat for the win, coach of the LA Nidokings.
Hi guys.
Yeah. Danza may or may not have known about Highlander rules before this.
I actually did not.
Surprise. It's a
Well,
thing.
I'm a little nervous for this season then.
I mean, you won the first season. Just do that again.
Oh yeah, I guess so. Going back to
Yeah,
my roots of focusing on versatility.
Yeah, go back to the first season. Not as much the second season.
Mm.
Like, that was a vacation. That was an off season. Resting the 3 years for the big one.
Oh yeah, this is the big season. I know it.
So, talking about that, you were the season 1 champion of the GBA.
Mm-hmm. That is correct.
Good season, good year for you, man.
I know. I remember all the pundits, all the sports analysts for the GBA. Not one of them had predicted that I would win, so it felt good to get the win.
Yeah, I mean, you were definitely, an underdog, especially going in there against Gubs, who was on a, just destroying streak. But,
Yeah, didn't he win 7 games straight and something like that?
It was something obscene.
Yeah.
It was some obscene streak that I don't think anyone's quite beat yet. I think Kote came very close to almost beating his streak, but Steve stopped him last season.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. But, you stopped Gubs in the first season, and I think you are undefeated against him career-wise, actually.
Even outside of the GBA, that's true.
Sometimes you just have people's number. You are their kryptonite, and I guess for Gubs, it's looking like you're his kryptonite.
For now, he's in my division, so I'll play him at least twice, so he's going to have two more chances to shine. Hopefully I can continue to be that kryptonite and get 2 more wins out of that.
Yeah. Hopefully along with that you can extend your powers of crippling radiation to a couple of other coaches and, regain the prestige. You didn't have the worst season of anyone by far last season, but,
yeah,
it's you got to compare it to the season you won.
Right.
You got to say that's a little bit of a sophomore slump, am I right?
Yeah, I got to agree with that. Well, I think I probably should have won maybe 1 or 2 more games. Maybe at least get to 500. It wasn't our best season, that's for sure. There were a few weeks I was flat out destroyed. But actually, I was destroyed by Joe twice.
Yeah, Joe destroyed a lot of people when he,
Yeah,
when Joe turns it on, he turns it on.
The first game was okay, but once he destroyed Weavile, it just all went downhill from there.
Yeah. It can get rough.
Yeah,
it can get rough out there. Joe doesn't play to not win.
Right. And there was no way I could fire blast my way out of that one.
No. There's tricks will only get you so far. Sometimes it's far enough. Sometimes, needs a little bit more than a random special coverage move. But that being said, you came off we'll say, disappointing season last season. Not a terrible season by any standards, but, not what you want it to be, obviously.
Right.
You go into the off season, you're making a lot of trades, moves, shifts in draft order, all kinds of stuff like that. Really moved a lot of agents around. You're not up there in the Fizz and Joe as far as original members left, I don't think, but you're pretty close.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Very, very close. I think like Empoleon's still hanging in there. He's been around for
since season
years.
1.
Yeah,
free agency in the middle of the season. Weavile last year, Raikou last year.
Yeah,
we got Gliscor, I believe, since season 1 as well, from the first draft.
Yeah, so lots of returning things in there, but you really are mixing it up, adding a lot of things. We've talked about it. You've explained it to me. I don't know how much you want to go into there because you don't necessarily want to give away strategy to anybody else. but you do have a strategy and a plan for sure.
Mm.
It's going to be very interesting to see how you do that. Then you went to the draft. How'd your draft go for you? Did you get sniped out of anything you really wanted, or was it pretty much you got what you aimed on
I
getting?
honestly basically got exactly what I wanted.
Yeah,
I wanted Entei going into it, and I wanted Tangrowth going into it. I knew I wanted Tangrowth because Mega Venusaur, I thought, not only did I not want it for 2 seasons in a row, but I thought it would probably be taken some point or
yeah,
another. Uh, Entei, whole Sacred Fire thing, that is so important. The burn chance, 50%.
yeah.
That, all of a sudden, your Tyranitar switch into a fire type, a normal fire type. You can do that.
It's a risky
But it's a
move. Yeah, it's a
really risky move
risky
when you're
move.
dealing with Entei. So all of a
Yeah,
sudden that just it changes the way opponents think about making switches and stuff like that. So that's the biggest reason why I went for Entei. Not only that, it has enough to work with. It's not a great move pool, but it certainly could run a defensive set here or there. It has a couple of support options, so it is enough to work with.
yeah.
Other
I think that's fair.
beyond that,
Granbull was the last pick.
Grand Bull is kind of just my grab bag sort of pick. I thought, okay, sure, I need a fairy type. Intimidate user would be great. This thing can run a choice band. This thing could probably, I don't know, run an assault vest. I could find some good things to go with it. It has a solid physical move pool, and even has a couple special moves that could be Fire Blast Gyarados coming back again.
That's a very interesting pick. Big mega pick in my opinion. Granted, the mega pool's a lot bigger than it was last year, as this is obviously the first Aura season, and you were, I think, third in the mega draft, so you
Fourth,
had a
I'm
very
pretty
high
sure.
fourth. Yeah. I got Mega Pencer. That's a great pickup. You know, that was MVP last season,
Mm.
and it's a destructive force for sure.
That's
So
exactly why I wanted it. Since some of the things I've drafted, some of the things I have right now aren't exactly the hardest hitters, I really wanted Mega Pinsir to be that hard hitter on the team that everyone has to fear. And I'm looking at the people's rosters right now, and not a lot wants to take on Pinsir.
no, I mean definitely. You know, as long as you play your win condition right there, it's pretty easy to open up holes for him along the way. So that said, you know, how do you feel about the draft in the whole? You're feeling good? You feeling
I'm
strong?
feeling pretty strong about things for sure. I've got a lot more options in terms of versatility. I got Mew through a trade, which can run any set ever, pretty much. It has every move in the game. I'm
Yeah.
hoping that that can also pose as a sort of decoy or sort of a threat every week for that reason because of its versatility. Not only not only that, I've got Flygon now, which I got through a trade with Joe. I got bagged on it pretty hard for that because I traded Haxorus, but when I when I think about it, it's got Levitate, it's got U-turn, it's got some other even support moves such as Defog in there. I really thought that'd be more useful to my team, given that I had only one Defogger prior to that. Another one, plus Mew can Defog as well. So really, three Defoggers now is going to be really important going forward, especially given that I just got Entei, which has that Stealth Rock weakness.
Yeah. That's good. That's solid thinking. So, you know, no, it sounds like you pretty much got everything you wanted out of the trade. Going into the season, as far as, you know, strategy, thought process, like I said, you're coming off of a not champion season. Changes in attitude, changes in intent. You know, how are you gonna get the title again? What's the name of the game for the Nidokings this season?
The biggest thing I'm going to focus on is, once again, going back to my Season 1 roots of versatility, which you can see I've already got with my draft quite a bit. With versatility being unpredictable, I'm going to catch the opponents off guard as much as I
Yeah.
can. So that's kind of what I've been going for here. Not only that, I've got new ways of planning. I've set up different kinds of... I made PDFs of analysis documents where I'm documenting major threats, major weaknesses in the opponent's team, some predictions, my win conditions, potential strategies, and eventually my team for the week. So hoping to...
It's nice.
Yeah.
Sounds like you're going pretty cerebral, pretty in depth with it.
Hmm.
Really, you know, kind of almost making it a numbers game at a certain point, but then you're still throwing in the wild card flair that you tend to do.
Right.
Because that's one thing. There's pretty much, a match every single week. There's always at least one moment where you ran something that was like, what? What did he just do?
And I love those
not
moments.
in a bad way.
I
Not in a
those
bad
moments
way,
in-
but
in
just
the-
like, oh, okay. He is running Extreme Speed Raikou. That's cool. He is running Volt. Is it Volt Rise?
Magnet.
Or Magnet Rise? Yeah, Magnet Rise Raikou.
Gubs
It's
was
like, all right.
really angry about that too.
It's a very common thing for a lot of players, especially the more you play Standard, like, to just get upset because you learn to play against a certain type, and when people defy that type, it's easy to go, that was a bad play, or that's dumb. But, it's not dumb, it's just unexpected. It's just non-traditional.
I know.
And, a lot of times it works because of that. So it's like,
Right.
it's kind of only dumb if at the end of the day it doesn't work.
Mhm.
If it does what it intends to do, it at least has some merit.
If it works as well as Ironhead Raikou did at the end of the year, then this season might not be going so well. But if it worked as well as Steel Wing, Scarfed Empoleon, Extreme Speed Raikou, Magnet Rise Raikou, among some other fun things I had last year, then we might be doing pretty well this year.
Yeah. I think it's definitely set up to be a really fun competitive year. Speaking of that, let's go straight into the real questions. Who do you want to play the most this season?
I mean, it's a tough question, but I'm gonna have to go with Gubs only because
For the
of that
free
whole
wins. For the free wins, right?
yeah, being his
Yeah.
kryptonite and all.
No one else in the league can say I want to play Gubs because I'm pretty sure I'll win.
I'm actually
Like,
not
that's-
honest to God. I'm actually not sure how easy it'll be to win, but I'd like to continue to test that whole kryptonite theory. That's for sure.
Hey man, nothing wrong
He's
with
gonna
that.
be he's gonna be out for blood that week. I know that.
I think he's always out for blood, but I don't think that's been enough for him to really grab it yet.
Mm.
All right, so who do you want to play the least?
Hmm.
Who's got the team that you're not quite sure how you wrapped your head around them yet, or
So here's the other polar opposite end. And it's probably gonna be Kote. He's got that whole Premier Rain team. I have one
Yeah.
grass type, and I somehow have to work around Swift Swim everything.
Swift Swim everything, most of which have some kind of ice coverage move as well.
Exactly. That's going to be a really, really tough week.
I think Kote is on a lot of people's scared to play list, and it's for very good reason.
Because I most of his threats, I can't even get Scarf Raikou to outspeed. And even if I do, what if I'm locked into an electric type move and he switches into Mega Swampert or Quagsire? All of a sudden, I'm in a really bad spot.
Yeah, I mean, even Amoonguss is there to, it'll sponge hits all day. Crocodile as well. He's got, he's drafted a really balanced team. So I think that's a fair one to be concerned with.
If I had 3 grass types, I might be feeling a little bit better, but I'm only stuck with the 1 for now. So it's a good grass type, and I think there are a couple. I'm thinking of a few little strategies here, but it's not going to be easy by any means.
No, not at all. And it's interesting because both of the people you said are actually, I believe, in your in your division.
They are.
Yeah. So
I'm going to get 2 cracks at both of them.
how you feeling about that, man? How you feeling about your division as a whole? You've got, I think the divisions were fairly balanced out, this season. But man, Gubs and Kote is almost a little bit scarier than anything else.
Yeah.
Even though you do have a great record against Gubs.
My opinion, this is the toughest division. There's no way
Yeah.
around that. We've got Gubs and Kote, very threatening teams, and you can't count the Bronzongs out either. They're a newcomer, but they've got a few threats in there, so.
Yeah, I really like Roger's draft. I think he learned a lot from his D-League season, so I'm interested to see how he works with that. But
Yeah, definitely.
yeah, it's definitely a scary conference, but you think you got what it takes to get out of it?
I certainly think so.
Yeah, that's good. That is very good to hear. I think that about wraps it up for these standard questions and things like that. I want to thank Danza again for joining me. I'll have his channel link and everything in the description. Please go check him out. Subscribe to him so you can follow his GBA battles throughout the season. Like I said, at the very least, I promise you, you will see a lot of things that will surprise you. If you want to see the non-traditional sets and the "what did he just do" moments, you go to Danza. He'll make you scratch your head at the very least.
If you want to see Fire Blast Gyarados, well, not anymore, but if you want to see things like Fire Blast Gyarados, it's worth
for
watching.
fans of Fire Blast Gyarados, as Netflix would put it, then it's just links to Danza videos. But that being said, again, thank you, Danza, for joining me.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you guys for watching it. Please leave comments, likes, all of that fun stuff, and stay tuned for more videos. So,
Peace.
peace.